hurt you that she's around your children?
It doesn't hurt me, no. More than anything, I go into protective mode. Like, I'm never going to trust someone who adored my family setup so much that they work their ass to come between it. Of course, with the help of him, but still.
Hey, our children are perfectly fine.
Like I said, for me, knowing that they are around someone who has said such nasty and vile things about their mother and about, and I'm sorry, and about their father even, who said multiple things about their father. You see how he defends her? He's bringing up something directly at me when I'm talking about a person who has for years, as he knows, tried to torture and come in between our marriage, DMing me. See, he knows all of those things, and I can keep going. So when he sits there and tries to defend...
Carlos King is now coming out, and trust me, he is not holding back after months of speculation, dodging questions, and being mute during the drama. The reality TV star is expressing his feelings to the world about Martell's behavior, and what he is exposing is devastating. Martell and Melody's romance has been nothing short of spectacular, as everyone who has been following Huntsville's love and marriage fan group knows. Dirty when people believed the drama was resolved, Martell escalated it with claims of retaliation, the disclosure of private information, and a pattern of toxic conduct that has been criticized by fans for years. Following Martell's infidelity, their on-screen marriage ended in a nasty and public divorce. However, things become even more intriguing at this point. Carlos King, the creator of Love and Reality TV, is not your typical reality TV producer. It was obvious that things would turn serious when he ultimately decided to talk about Martell and how he's been managing the whole thing. What precisely did Carlos say, and why is the love and marriage community in disarray about it? Now, let's begin. Marriage Huntsville is the man who brought this ensemble together and has personally seen every moment of this drama play out.
Good, God is good, okay? So, in case you missed the other live earlier, I need a bag, so I had to... So in real life, I always call Marlo, okay? I always call Marlo when I'm out shopping because she is my person. So, you know, y'all get a chance to see who I am in my real life, not stuff you hear about.
After months of waiting for him to speak up, Carlos was unable to do so because, as the host of the reunion specials and executive producer of Love and Marriage Huntsville, he was bound by strict contractual obligations to remain impartial while filming and to keep his personal opinions out of the spotlight. This is what hosts of reunions usually do. Instead of taking sides, people with behind-the-scenes power in particular are meant to promote discussion. But their silence simply stoked fan speculation. Fans were irritated that Carlos, who has never shied away from addressing awkward reality TV situations, wasn't criticizing Martell's actions. Some even charged that he was shielding Martell, while others believed he was simply waiting for the proper moment. Disclose his actual feelings, and now that the reunion programs have formally aired, Carlos is finally making his point known. Instead of avoiding the topic or holding back, he is speaking out about the unpleasant fallout between Martell and Melody, and let's just say that he isn't exactly in favor of Martell.
And the victim all the time.
Oh,
it gets on my nerves.
So everybody just heard everything like that.
No, because
I'm playing the victim.
I wish one day people will see the person that you really are. You throw all the damn stones and hide your hands and be the victim. Because when we start going through stuff, I told you what you weren't.
To really understand why this moment is so explosive, you must rewind. The breakup of Martell and Melody was already one of the most talked about divisions in reality TV, but Martell's purported attempts to harm Melody's reputation for years after their divorce were the decisive factor. Martell's incapacity to accept the loss of his marriage was evident in his frequent jabs, which looked to be an attempt to punish Melody for leaving him rather than move on. The revelation of revenge porn stunned fans and other cast members. According to rumors, Martell was threatening to leak obscene content that involved Melody. It's unclear if his intention was to carry out the leak or if he was only using it as leverage against her. He made offensive comments about her personal life while she was parenting, and he even tried to downplay his part in their broken relationship. Just the allegations sparked outrage. Melody was clearly distraught, since she had already been impacted by Martell's public attacks. Despite her deft handling of the situation and her refusal to give Martell any more power over the narrative, fans immediately backed her, calling his actions disgusting and poisonous. According to one reader, Martell is acting in every way possible to discredit Melody and is the quintessential resentful ex, owing to her contentment without him. According to another, this man has the gall to deceive and harm his family because he still feels like the victim. Even more concerning aspects of Martell's mindset had been revealed by Carlos King now that things had gotten out of control, but Melody deserves tranquility, not this man.
Listen, this show means a lot to Melissa in a very different way of what it means to Teresa. I think, to your point, listen, I think anybody who watches the show can see that Melissa wants to be the top dog, and she has trouble with Teresa constantly winning in the end. And this, I'm gonna tell you, it was the season where Danielle Staub, one of my favorites of all time.
Yes,
it was the season where Danielle Staub, unfortunately, Melissa, like, Teresa told me to pull the hair. What I saw was this excitement of Melissa getting the tea. Like, well, she did what? And I think of Melissa's mind, she was like, oh baby, it's going down.
Instead of just reacting, Carlos provided receipts and a comprehensive psychological evaluation. The two looked at Martell's past behavior after meeting with Dustin Ross and saw that this was more than just an angry ex-husband losing his temper. Carlos was careful to examine Martell's past retaliatory actions in great detail. Carlos saw Martell's tendency to shirk responsibility for his mistakes and adopt a get-back mentality as one of the primary warning indicators. Martell often chooses to strike, doing everything in his power to make Melody look as bad as he does. Retaliation is not only a destructive cycle, but it is also the kind of behavior that keeps arguments going longer than they should. However, the fact that Martell doubled down rather than apologized after being presented with the facts and given the opportunity to express regret was the one incident that best illustrated how far gone he has become. Carlos called Martell out without holding back, demonstrating that this is a significant problem that relates to deeper issues of control and ego. Avoided taking on responsibility, and went about his routine of justifying his behavior and inquiring as to whether Martell had any possibility of repenting. That was swiftly ended by Carlos, who informed Martell that his behavior was damaging not only his relationship with Melody, but also his reputation and making him seem like a villain in the eyes of the general public. Although Martell didn't appear overly disturbed by that based on his response, there is more to this narrative than retaliation, because what if Marcel is the true target of his resentment? A fantastic point in Marriage and Love: The Freaky Friday shift has been in effect in Huntsville. Martell had a wife, a family, and a prosperous career a few years ago, making him the man at the top. Everything had changed drastically when Marcel and Tisha were still trying to establish themselves. While Marcel and Tisha are doing well with their businesses and their marriage, which isn't ideal, but it's still intact, they are moving in the right way. Meanwhile, Martell is struggling and his personal life is in ruins. Suffered, and his standing is deteriorating quickly. Does Martell have a latent resentment toward Marcel for saving his life? The blunt inquiry from Carlos prompted Mart to respond, "I'm not rooting for them, but I'm not rooting against them." To be honest, though, let's dissect that if you have to clarify that you're not supporting someone who has made a lot of statements.
Hell, playing mind games, that's just what he does. Like him showing up here today with these flowers, his smile on his face, like Prince Charming, when we all know that he's responsible for all of the stuff happening on social media pertaining to me. That could change people's opinions about me by him giving these false narratives. He's responsible for that.
The fact that no one was on stage to support Martell made the situation much stranger. Martell had some severe reality checks during the reunion, which was more of an intervention than a period for self-reflection. Melody was already wary of trying to prove herself to Martell and the world, so she didn't really need to do much. She chose to let the facts speak for themselves rather than engage in debate because they weren't helping Martell. He was called out by the entire cast in turn. Despite their habit of avoiding direct criticism of Martell, Marcel, and Tisha's street dance, were unable to ignore the fact that he was placing himself in a challenging position. Marcel made it clear that despite his personal issues, he wouldn't have gone as far as Martell did. Tisha put it bluntly, Martell isn't simply making bad choices. He's choosing to continue doing so even when he has the opportunity to do better. Fans, however, also had a lot to say. Tremendous for Melody, as everyone gathered to applaud her fortitude and the way she handled Martell's antics. In the meantime, fans who were not only dissatisfied with Martell's actions, but were also done with him criticized him harshly. Carlos made his position plain after being criticized by many for constantly playing the victim and starting the controversy in the first place. By the end of the reunion, it was clear that he didn't mince words and that he felt strongly about Martell's actions. Carlos put it this way in his summary. Great! Carlos' analysis led to several key conclusions, one of which was that Martell is utterly incapable of taking accountability. Whenever he is given the chance to reflect, he opts to reverse course, assign blame, play the blame game, and deny his own part in his catastrophe. His actions appear to push him further away from redemption, and the worst part is that he knows it, but instead of making amends, he doubles down. He is not only irresponsible, but also self-destructive. Already thinking about it, this goes beyond just making bad decisions. The conflict between Martell and him is more important than Melody Marcel or even the show. What does this portend for Martell's love and marriage Huntsville future? He might not have much time left if he keeps acting in this manner. Beyond messy reality TV drama, Carlos Martell's behavior pattern suggests a deeper fault in his character that is impeding his ability to advance both emotionally and professionally. It's hard to envisage a recovery because he's managed to drive Carlos to the brink of having to step in, alienate the cast, and lose the fan support. The true question, though, is whether he can ever change his ways or if he has finally reached his breaking point. What do you all think? Is this the last straw for Martell, or do you see his future? In addition to remembering to like and subscribe for more tea, please leave your thoughts in the comments box.